good afternoon, and welcome to another amazing episode of Peace Zone with Peace Ambassadors on your favorite channel, KAFTAN TV Abuja. And I want to ask that first question I always ask, which is, how are you doing today? I hope you're peaceful with yourself, others, and the environment. Hope you're ensuring justice, security, and development in your spaces. On Peace Zone today, we'll be looking at something so germane which you as a person need to relate with people better, and that is dialogue as a tool for conflict management and peaceful coexistence in Nigeria. This episode will let us know what dialogue is, why it is an important tool in resolving conflict, and how it is needed for us to resolve some fundamental issues bedeviling Nigeria. I am Moses Abolade, your peace building facilitator and host, and joining me on this is Bilkisu. Bilkisu, good to have you on the show today.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Moses.
It's a great pleasure to be with you on this show, and we are also having our wonderful guest on this show, the person of Dr. Jacob. Dr. Jacob, good to have you on the show. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Moses and Bilkisu. It's so good to be here today.
Yeah, I'll be doing a proper introduction of him very soon when we get to that part. So for now, we'll be going straight into the discussion of the day, where Bilkisu will be giving us a short intro of what is obtainable when it comes to what we are doing today.
Okay, as you all know, it's a new month, and it's
that's
also a moment. Yeah, it's a new month, and it's also a moment for us to be able to educate ourselves on how to confront conflict situations within ourselves and our environment.
Yeah, so it's a good
and
one.
You should notably know that this program is brought to you by Peace Education and Practice Network, PETNET, in partnership with KAFTAN TV Abuja. You know, this program is a program whereby our viewers out there do have the opportunity to call in and share diverse issues on the topic of discussion. You can reach us via peacezone2023@gmail.com. For sponsorship and partnership, you can send us mail at ppepnet@gmail.com. Thank you for joining us. I am Bilkisu Aliu Kana.
Thank you very much for that introductory statement. Very powerful. Bilkisu, you're welcome. And I'm so sure that we'll be doing a lot together, discussing together on something fundamental, just as I've said, which is dialogue. Dialogue is so important in our communication, and it's very important that we pay attention to this. So we'll be going straight into it to look at what exactly is dialogue. I think Bilkisu will be helping us to give a great insight or exposition to what dialogue is all about. And before then, I would just say that you have already heard about dialogue before now. Two people are talking, right? Yeah. But I'm so sure that Bilkisu will be doing justice to that.
Okay, dialogue is a process whereby the participants commit to listen, reflect, and questions with curious mindset in order to seek a shared understanding. You know, when two partners are dialoguing, they need to ask questions in line with the topic or the issues of the conflict. They don't need to digress or deviate from the topic of discussion in order not to go astray or being favorable to another person and not being unfavorable to the other person. Yeah, so that is what dialogue is all about. And you know, when two or more people are in conflict situation, they tend to speak more and defend themselves, making conclusions about identity or every other content of their opponent. They are usually preempting and judging as much as they can. This often leads to further escalation of conflict, which in most cases will lead to break in communication. And you know, when there is break in communication, parties in conflict tends to side themselves.
Yes, you know.
And you know, which is very bad.
Thank you very much, Bilkisu, for that. So straight on, I'll be going to Dr. Jacob Suhemo. I hope I pronounced that well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dr. Jacob Shagbao Suhemo.
Okay, Shagbao Suhemo. Thank you so much for that. Right. I just hope I will not mistake it for I will not mispronounce that. So, but I can make do with Dr. Jacob for now.
Good.
Okay, Dr. Jacob. So let's go straight to it. What exactly based on your experience of Nigerian politics and the context of Nigeria, what exactly is dialogue in that context, in our own context as Africans, as Nigerians? What is dialogue?
Thank you very much. That's an interesting question. I appreciate the perspective that Aliyu brought on board. What dialogue is the same, regardless of the platform or the context that requires its expression.
Yes.
The meaning is different. The meaning is the same. It is the manner of expression that may vary. Now, in the context of Nigeria, you know that Nigeria is quite an interesting country. Interesting in the sense that Nigeria comprises several ethnic groups. Nigeria is a country that has specific religions, people with diverse religious affiliations, different ethnicities, like I said before, different political interests, and etc. And so from that point of view, if you talk about dialogue, dialogue is a communicative process where people, in which people involved in that process come with a view to drawing understanding on some conflicting issues or perceptions they have about people, about things, about phenomena, as the case may be.
So thank you for that. It's about interaction. In all what you said, I can pick interaction between people about what they are saying and the response to it. So can we go straight to look at Nigerian situation right now, looking at our polity and different concerns we are having in the country right now? What exactly should you, how do you see it? Let's even start with your assessment of Nigerian concerns itself. Let's look at it. What exactly are the issues bedeviling us right now?
Talking from the point of view of conflict situations, Nigeria is at the moment at a very interesting moment. I call it interesting because of the conflicting interests that define the face where we are now. Looking at the political trajectory, there are a lot of issues. For instance, the Naira redesign brought a lot of issues. Then we just went into a major election. We're just coming out of that election with a lot of interest still on the top there. And so that's another situation. Then you have the situation of security, insecurity in the country, and that is also a very serious situation. And then you have the issues of agitators. All right, we have our brothers from the south, they call out. The Biafra agitators, they want self-rule. And then you have Islamic extremists from the north. You have the Boko Haram movement. You have the Fulani extremists who are hitting really hard on our farmers in the bushes, creating a lot of problems, and for food security issues. And that is where we are at the moment.
I really like that part you went through, especially food security concerns. So there's a follow-up question on that, which is, where do we see communication gap or communication as an issue in all this? Do you think communication is a major concern in either the cause of this violence or in the process of either responding to such violent situation?
My brother, communication is the life wire of every society. What is communication? The process of exchanging ideas from one person to the other, from one person to a group, or among a people in a manner that meaning sharing is enhanced. And so the fundamental objective of communication is meaning sharing. And when there is no communication, then a lot of things go wrong. You find suspicion. So what we have in Nigeria, we're in a situation, we're at a point in Nigeria at the moment where what we have in common, what we share in common majorly, is mutual suspicion. You say your name is Jacob, and she says her name is Kana, and then she suspects that what's Jacob here? I'm saying, why is Kana here? That is talking about our religious affiliations. And then you say your name is Obasanjo, and I say my name is Shagbao. That's Benue, North Central, and South. And so issues. What we have in common is mutual suspicion. And so when there is no communication, then misunderstanding thrives. When there is no understanding, then conflict creeps in, because there is a high, God created man with that innate desire for communication. Communication helps us give life meaning. And when there is no communication, there is confusion. And when there is confusion, conflict creeps in. And when conflict creeps in, there's trouble. And when there's trouble, there's no peace anywhere. And when there's no peace anywhere, there can never be development.
Definitely.
And so communication is the life wire of every community and a target social system. And so we had a situation in Nigeria now that we require communication. And part of the things that I mentioned, explaining where we are now as a country. And we are where we are specifically because somebody responsible for communication somewhere is not doing his or her job very well. Because our sense of national unity, our sense of nationalism, our sense of cohesion is weakening, is dropping. Why? Because of mutual suspicion that has crept in because of poor communication we have adopted as a people.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Jacob Shagbo, right?
Shagbo.
Sorry for murdering your name. Okay, Shagbo. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Jacob. So that means lack of proper communication causes conflict.
That's right.
So, okay, sorry, sir. So what's the best approach we can use to dialogue in such conflict situations?
There are various approaches. But like you articulated earlier, the best approach is to listen. We have a country, and we are not a lawless country. We have a country with a properly defined leadership structure. And it behoves on every leader to listen to her people. And we have Nigeria comprises of over 240 ethnic groups, right? It then means that all these ethnic groups have needs. They have aspirations. They have expectations from government. And they want to be a part of government. And because it is government for everybody, they also feel they should have a place in government. And so a good leader should listen to the people. And how do you listen? You listen carefully. You listen critically. You listen constructively. We are in Nigeria, and we are such an interesting people. Everybody wants to be talking at the same time. And people make little effort to listen to the other person until we begin to listen to ourselves, until we begin to listen to our yearnings, until we begin to listen to our aspirations as a people. We may not be able to make progress, because if we don't understand what my concerns are, you may not be able to help me until you understand what my concerns are genuinely and sincerely, and you allow me to express them thoroughly in the light of my convictions and where it's hurting. You may not be able to help me. And so that is the situation.
Okay. Bilkisu, you can still go ahead with the follow-up questions.
Okay, so what are the identifiable conflict situations in Nigeria, considering the current post-election issues now?
Yeah, I mentioned some of them earlier, but I mentioned the issue of security, which is a very serious one, because there is poor communication, and then we are managing communication badly. You observe that, because ideally, using the election, for example, when 2 people or 3 or 5 different people go into an election contesting for a single seat, all right, 2 things are involved. Is either you win that election, all right, or you fail. That's another thing. And so you must not go with I must win mindset or attitude. So
do or die.
It's not a do or die thing at all. But then it also depends on the process. The processes, how the processes leading to the emergence of these leaders were administered. That's another issue.
Okay.
How were the processes leading to the emergence of the current leaders we have across the platforms, from the state assembly elections to the gubernatorial elections to the national assembly elections and the presidential elections? How were the processes administered? Were they transparent enough? Was there proper communication at all levels and all channels to the satisfaction of everybody? When people vying for election are very convinced and satisfied with how the processes were administered, nobody would be agitating unnecessarily to want to rule by force. I think the agitations and the tensions that we have are coming from the lack of transparency with which the processes were administered. That's another thing. And then the issues of security. insecurity that we have, and then strong agitations across divides. Our brothers from the Yoruba side will say those who want their country, they want to do a republic. And then the North Central people are saying we want our North Central Middle Belt Republic. All right, and then the people from the South, South, are saying they want their Biafra. Why are these agitations becoming very strong? Why are the lines, the ethnic lines, the religious lines becoming very prominent now? I think that prominence is coming on the heels of poor management of communication.
Okay.
Because of time, we'll just go on a short break now, and when we come back, I know you have loaded for us today, and we are also ready for you. And I'm sure that our guests listening at home, they are also waiting to hear more. So when we come back, we are going to continue to listen to Dr. Jacob on this topic, dialogue as a tool for conflict management and peaceful coexistence in Nigeria. Stay tuned.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome back to this particular discussion with Dr. Jacob Shagbao.
Yes,
I really thank God that I really appreciate the fact that he corrected us on that name, because we need to also learn to appreciate what we have. That's a very good name, and it also shows our ethnic beauty in different parts of this country. He's from Benue and he's from Nai University. He's an astute lecturer doing great work in terms of communication, in terms of information management, in terms of helping students and academicians to develop properly. And that's what we have been discussing. We've been discussing issues around dialogue. We've been discussing issues around how to manage conflict situations in Nigeria by managing dialogue properly. And that's what we have been doing. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
So let's now continue the conversation, especially now looking at what has happened in Nigeria already when it comes to the post-election situation. Don't let me say violence or no violence yet.
No violence.
To the best of our own calculation, no violence yet. So, but with what we have seen so far, we have seen some increasing tension here and there, based on agitation, based on concerns here and there. So, how do you think conflict, dialogue will help us reduce this rising tension as we are progressing now? How do you think dialogue, either by grouping, either by one-on-one, either by caucus, or any form of approach, how do you think that can actually bring down this tension we are experiencing right now?
Thank you very much. Can I call you Ambassador? Ambassador Moses. Thank you very much for the opportunity again to provide some elucidation on how the way forward adopting dialogue. Like I said before, and like we have overemphasized, dialogue is a communicative process where everybody on the table is coming to draw understanding and clarification on disturbing phenomena in society. Where we are now as a nation, having come out of election, is a very serious issue. People who are aggrieved have gone to court, and they should be disciplined enough to trust the court and to allow the court to administer their complaints in the light of what their complaints are, and come up with a clear solution. And so allow the court processes to run independent of any form of tensions. And then the people that are responsible for managing information from these political parties are not professionals. I say that without any form of apology. The people responsible for managing information on behalf of the major political parties that we have in Nigeria today are causing more harm than good. Propaganda, misinformation, hate speech, name calling. That's not how to go about it. Blame trading. No, that's not how to go about it. And so political parties should be able to do some in-house consultation, in-house interactions, and come up with a position, all right, as a party, because they should be mindful of their corporate identity and public perception of these political parties. The way the information officers or handlers of these political parties are going about it, they are inflaming more tensions in Nigeria today as we speak. All right, all these accusations, all these counter accusations, all this blackmail, cheap blackmail, all these irresponsible conversations, all this, in fact, blackmail purely. All right,
defamation and all
defamation. All right, exposing the other person to public ridicule. It's not helping anybody, because these political parties or these political aspirants have followers. A majority of these followers are not knowledgeable, and these are the things that are responsible for communication gap, which brings in conflict. We have this perception gap, we have knowledge gap, we have cultural gaps, we have psychological gaps, or we have perception gaps. All right, people who are not schooled, people who are not thoroughly exposed to the four corners of a formal educational system, don't understand anything. They believe everything that their opinion leaders tell them. They believe everything that their political leaders tell them. All right, and so be careful what you tell your followers, because what you tell them is capable of inciting them against the other group, and that will create more tension for the society you are aspiring to lead. Nobody can lead successfully over a society that is not at peace, all right, with itself.
Thank you so much. Bilkisu, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Jacob, for doing justice to all the questions being directed to you.
But we're not in a law court. What justice are you?
No, you are being just. You are being just without biases.
All right, then.
In the answering of the question. So do you think dialogue is the best management tool to use in resolving conflict situation?
Yeah,
in Nigeria.
Completely. I think that dialogue is the best. And how do you dialogue? You reach out to these people. If we talk about the agitators from the south, our Biafra brothers, they have genuine concerns. We should be able to listen to them. What are their aspirations? Why are they? What is the focus, the foundation of their agitations? Instead of labeling them a name and then wanting to extinguish them, they are part of Nigeria. And for crying out loud, Nigeria belongs to all of us.
All of us.
All of us.
And our forefathers understood the multiplicity of our composition. The heterogeneity of our composition was acknowledged even by our constitution. And so this interest, you don't use violence to silence agitators. I feel they're part of Nigeria. I love what Mr. President said when he was coming into power in 2015, talking about Boko Haram specifically. He said he was going to do a research to understand the social, economic, and political factors responsible for those agitations by Boko Haram. The extent to which he has felt about that particular project is a discussion for another day. But that is the approach. That is the approach. Dialogue is the approach. And how do you dialogue? You reach out to these people, you listen to them carefully, and then you listen to them to note what their concerns are. You affirm their concerns, showing that you should be an active listener. What are your complaints? Talk to Boko Haram, talk to our Fulani brothers in the bush and our farmers. Why can't they have peace? Why don't we have peace? You know, some time ago, 5, 10, 20 years ago down the line, farmers and cattle had a very peaceful relationship. All right, where did it go wrong? What is happening? What are their concerns? Listen to them genuinely, and both parties must be willing to take a form, some form of compromise to give peace a chance. So dialogue is important, and the approach is that you listen to identify what concerns are, validate these concerns, all right, and then affirm them, and you should be able to provide constructive, unbiased responses in the light of the complaints so harvested. And then you must be willing to arrive at mutual understanding. The solutions or the resolutions arrived at must be solutions that are mutually beneficial to both parties. And then you should know that individual interest, group interest, ethnic interest, cultural interest, all those ones are trivial compared to national interest. National interest is supreme. Public good and public interest is the ultimate. Individual interest, group interest must be collapsed into public interest. Public interest is public good. Public interest is public peace. And that is the ultimate. So yes, I agree that dialogue is the only approach at resolving the myriad of conflicts that we have that are impeding our development as a nation and as a people today in Nigeria.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Jacob.
I think what you have said, I really appreciate your passion, the passion you put into this. But over time, we've seen different dialogue engagement during Jonathan's time that is still not that far from us. we remember that there was a conference for stakeholders in Nigeria, the CONFAB, and we discovered that it's not that people don't come together. Presently, we have several dialogue sessions here and there, but how effective are these meetings? Because you touched that part too. Now, how can we make this meeting become so productive, become so fruitful at the end of the day? Not just we bring dialogue, you bring people together, they spend money, and after the end of the day, we don't see the prospect expected for this project. So what do you think in that light, in ensuring that dialogue become more productive, more fruitful, and more impactful?
Thank you very much, my brother. You see, the challenge with us is that as a people, we should be sincere with ourselves. Do we approach these attempts with sincerity? Do we approach these attempts with transparency? These are major concerns. And then the issue of continuity, all right, and opposition. All right, Jonathan was from PDP, for instance. The incoming administration at 2015, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, what were his perceptions on that dialogue, that confab you were talking about? Yes. What was his perception? He didn't see why, in fact, severally in his public appearances, condemned the entire process and wasn't comfortable with it. And so because he wasn't comfortable with it, you wouldn't see him making any attempt towards implementing the resolutions from that sort of an activity. So we should not be looking at dialogue as a strategy to score cheap political points. No, that is not the approach. We should be approaching dialogue with sincerity. We should be approaching dialogue with transparency. We should be approaching dialogue with a high sense of nationalism. We should be approaching dialogue with that understanding that of social responsibility. Yeah. That is the perspective from which we should be approaching the dialogue table. All right? How sincere are you? How transparent are you? How committed are you to this process? That is the emphasis.
I think I've learned so much from this session myself, especially as it regards to listening, as regards to we coming to the table sincerely with genuine interest. Thank you very much, our guest, Dr. Jacob Shagbaho Suemo, a senior lecturer from the Department of Mass Communication, Nile University of Nigeria. Thank you for taking out your time to join us on this show, and we want to say thank you very much. And we want you to also extend our greetings to the Vice Chancellor of the university. And I want to thank my host and my co-host, the person of Bilkisu, and I want her to also give a parting shot.
Okay, to my viewers out there, I want you to stay peaceful with yourself, because once you are peaceful with yourself, that's when you'll be peaceful with another person, the people within you. So stay peaceful with yourself.
Yeah, and again, for those who are interested to support this program, please do so, because this program can always be sustainable when we support it, and you can do that by calling in either through 08109661910, or you can also send us an email through pzone2023@gmail.com. And I'm so sure that you have enjoyed this particular edition, and I want to say special thanks to the KAFTAN TV management crew. We also appreciate the PepNet management crew, and also the P-Zone crew for doing a wonderful job. And I want to say special thanks to everybody who has been doing amazing work when it comes to peace. Either you are showing kindness, you are giving, you are showing love, you are ensuring dialogue improve in your own space. You are doing a wonderful job, and keep doing it. Till we come again next week, please stay peaceful, stay safe, stay secured, and stay developed. And I'm sure together we are going to develop our country to become a peaceful place for everyone to survive and to thrive. Thank you very much for joining. Bye for now.